So what are you given in this problem? That's the first thing you want to look at. Okay, table. What did they give you in the table? Minutes and degrees. Okay. Sometimes they would give you a rate. Like this would already be, degrees per minute. But in this case, it is just the temperature of the coffee. All right. The function is differentiable. They almost always throw that in there because if it's differentiable, it's also continuous. Go ahead and close the Chromebook while I'm talking. You can open it back up for the next. Okay. Thank you. Now this says approximate the derivative at 5. Approximate because we can't find it exactly. All we have are these numbers. Do not be too proud to list out the points that you're going to use. If you mess up a slope, which is what this is, average rate of change means slope. You mess up a slope, you're going to be upset. Which points would we use for 5? 3. Yeah, 3 and 7. So 3, 85, 7, 69. And how did you set it up? Good, minus 85 over 7 minus 3. If you wrote that, give yourself a point. And what else did it say to do? Well, show the work. That is our work. Units of measure. So it is a rate. It has to be something per something else. And so this would be what? Degrees Celsius per minute. If you wrote that, give yourself a point. And be honest, because you can't self-assess if you're not being honest. Now I'm going to share my screen and I want you guys to see this. This is not hidden information. I Googled 2024 calculus scoring guidelines. You can do that too. Google is free. All right. Is it hidden from you? You can find this. So here's what it says for this first one. Estimate with supporting work, which means if you use the calculator and just typed that in and wrote a final answer, they wouldn't give it to you. They want to see the subtraction. They want to see this part and then the units. So a point for the answer, a point for the units. And then they go through, if you did this, you would have gotten a point. If you did that, you would not have gotten a point kind of thing. I'm not going to read all that to you. You can find that. All right, use a left Riemann sum with the 3 sub-intervals. I'm going to go ahead and circle them. And I'm not even going to read any further. Let's go ahead and get our Riemann sum. What's the length of your first sub-interval? Good. 3. And then the number on the left, 100. Good. Plus 4 times 85 and then 5 times 69. Pretty sure that's worth 2, but hold on. I'll go back to the scoring guidelines in a second, and then you can score yourselves. Now, it's interesting. They have you find that, but then they want you to interpret that, but with a 1/12 out front. Did anyone think they got that? What do you think? Is an average value. If I gave you a list of numbers and asked you to average them, nice job. The integral adds it all up. It's like adding up all your rectangles, and then that fraction out front makes it an average. Now, we're not going to say average value. It's whatever it is in the problem. So it's average temperature in degrees Celsius, and you have to say one other thing or they won't give it to you. Average temperature in degrees Celsius from 0 to 12 minutes. I believe it was 2 points for the Riemann sum and 1 point for the explanation there, but let me share my screen once everybody gets that one written down and I'll clarify. You can give yourself your points. All right, so let's see what they did for B. Form of left Riemann sum. That means you have something times something plus something times something plus something times something. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you did a sum, all right? So even if the numbers were wrong, you get a point. If your numbers were correct, you get a second point. If you got that Riemann sum, give yourself 2. Then it was 1 point for the interpretation. How many points are you all at so far? You should be at 4, really. 3. That's good. All right. Have we touched the calculator yet? In this calculator question? I know it's like that a lot of times. We will for this one, though. See this messy function? That's what we're going to have to type in. All right. Now for 12 to 20, do you see how our table ends at 12? So they're taking us beyond the table. All right. For 12 to 20, the rate of change is given by this. I know it's a rate of change because it says prime. All right. We have degrees Celsius per minute. All right. Find the temperature of the coffee at time 20. Show the setup. We're going to set it up and then put it in the calculator. Now we have to pick up where we left off. So what's the temperature of our coffee? 55. All right. So we're going to have 55 plus, and then our accumulation. Think about the monkey and the gopher. Do you remember the monkey and the gopher? Monkey in the tree, gopher underground, they're moving. You take where they started plus their accumulation. These boundaries are given to you in the problem. Just go find them. 12 to 20 right there. 12 to 20. And then the function you're going to use is that thing. Okay. Don't copy it, write C prime. Now we're going to go and type this in. Let me go back to the calculator. It is going to be 55 plus in, oh gosh, what was it? 12 to 20. 20 parenthesis. All right, here we go. Make sure I don't type it. If I type it wrong, it's wrong. 4, 5, 5. E to the power 0.1.
Yeah, it's negative 24.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Thank you. See, told you guys needed to look out for me. I was typing in the wrong one. At negative 24, thank you. 0.55 e to the power 0.01 t. Okay, so all of that divided by, there is it correct now? Yeah, right. Won't give you an answer if it's wrong. How many decimal points do you need? 3. 40.329. I'm going to go to the scoring table right now. I think you would, I think it's 3, and I think you'd get 1 out of the 3. So let's see. You get a point for the integral. So if you wrote integral 12 to 20 C prime, you got a point. You wrote 55 plus bananas, you got a point. All right, and then a point for the answer. So 3 points. Here, and you can read through it later if you want. I don't want to take class time for it. But I think if you mess up either of these ones, you're not eligible for the 3rd point. It's usually here. You know what? Actually, we will look at it. That's usually what they say. 3rd point is earned. Yeah, so you got integral, left off the 55, you would get the 1st point. But because you left that off, you're not eligible for the 3rd point. So you get 1 out of 3, which is actually pretty good if you got some of the other points. So let's say you got 1 for that one, 2 for this one, and 2 for this one. You'd be at 5. That's already awesome. 5 out of 9, half is good. Okay. All right, let's do part D, and then I'm going to have you guys try that last one. Now, this time they're giving us prime for 12 to 20. Determine whether the coffee is changing at a decreasing rate or an increasing rate. So 50-50, give a reason for your answers. I'm going to go and type this in. Let me get rid of this. All right, make sure I type this one right. E to the power 1 t parenthesis minus t. Does that look all right? Divided by t squared. Now, I'm going to come over here. It didn't show up, right? I'm going to come over here to my gear. Make sure you're in radians. It didn't affect this problem because we're not doing trig. Make sure you're in radians. I want my x-axis to be whatever the interval was they gave. So it was 12 to 20. So do you see how I'm changing this? So 12 to 20. And it still didn't show up. So I'm going to make my y's be negative 10, 10. It's always a good place to start. You can change it from there. Why do I still not see the graph? Oh, you're right. You need to make it x. I'm like, it should be showing up. Okay, so instead of t, I need to make it x. I was like, why isn't it working? There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm going to fix that. Instead of negative 10 to 10, I'm going to do negative 1 to 1. There we go. Now we can see it a bit better. Okay. Is that above sea level or below? Above means it's positive. So that means, and you want to basically repeat the prompt. So they're asking if the coffee is changing at. So we're going to say coffee is changing at what? Decreasing rate or increasing? At increasing rate. I'm not at the because yet. We're going to get there. Coffee is changing at an increasing rate on the interval 12 to 20. Here's your because, and what's your reason why? C prime prime is positive there.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. This is where we answer all the questions.
This thing, increasing because C prime prime is positive on the interval 12.
So you just said increasing. You didn't say changing at increasing rate. But I feel like you might get one out of, or let me see how many that was worth. Let's see if you might have gotten a, well, how many points are we at so far? 4, 5. So, you know what? I think this was only worth one and you either got it or you didn't. Let's see. It was only worth one. So you wouldn't have gotten it. That would have been a 0 out of 1. And here's the takeaway, guys. Here's the takeaway. Repeat the prompt. Don't make up your own vocabulary or your own language of how to say it. If it says changing at decreasing rate or changing at increasing rate, write in your answer, changing at whichever one you're picking. Repeat the prompt. That was only worth one. So you either got it or you didn't. Okay. So on this one, this is particle motion. That's one of the ones I told you you're likely to see. Here is your equation, this whole thing. There is one time, which they're calling T sub R, when the particle is at rest or not moving. That's why they called it sub R. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what I typed in. That's the scoring guideline. So look at, I typed in this equation, went to my settings over here, and I made it go from 0 to 2. Did anybody do that? Set it 0 to 2? You guys need to get in the habit of changing it to whatever interval they give you, or you might get answers that are not the right answer. So 0 to 2. So what is that T sub R equal? Yep, 1.425. Everybody should have gotten that one. T sub R equals that. It says find that. Then it says for the interval from 0 leading up to that number, the particle moving left or right, give an answer. Let me go back to the graph. So for this portion of it, from 0 leading up to that point, where is this graph? Above. So what does that mean? We're going to say moving right on 0 to this 1.425 because, and what's the reason? V of t is positive there. Good. We have 7 more blocks after today of review. So it's going to start out rough and then we're going to get better. We're going to improve. You have to learn how to take the test is kind of what it is. All right, let me share my screen and let's see what you would have gotten for the point. I'm already there. All right, you got 1 point if you found that 1.425. Give yourself a point for that. And then it was just 1 point for that explanation. So if you left out any part of that explanation, they're not going to give it to you. Yeah, so if you left out like the interval, they won't give it to you. If you didn't say velocity is, what did you say? Let me just.
Well, first off, we got that T or that R with T.
That's fine. They're not going to take off.
Particles moving right at time T equals T.
Yeah, so you changed it from an interval to a specific point, so they will not give that to you. But give yourself 1 out of 2, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, find the acceleration of the particle at time 1.5. Show there's not much of a setup for this. Here's what they want to check that you understand. How do you get from velocity to acceleration? Good, so they want to see you link these two things together. They want to see you show that V prime is how you get acceleration. That's your quote unquote setup. All right. And then we're going to simply type that in the calculator. So watch me type. It's been a while since we've done this, so you may have forgotten. That's why we're going over it. Let me get back to my calculator. Now I have to go in the front of this and call it something. So I'm going to call it V of X. Yeah, I did that. V of X equals all of that. I want to do V prime of, what was it, 1.5? There you go. -1 is your answer. You guys all see how I did that? Or did you guys remember how to type that? Oh, nice. Good job. -1. And then there's more to that question. Is speed increasing or decreasing? For speed, you need to look at both velocity and acceleration. We just found acceleration. Now let's find velocity of 1.5. I'm going to go back to the graph. Just watch me do this. All I'm going to do, get rid of that prime. Do you see how I did that? Now it's just velocity. So what's our velocity at 1.5? Yep, -0.076. Did anybody get that? Did you make it that far? Nice. Did you guys make it that far? Good. Perfect. Then your answer is going to be speed is what? Is increasing. Now, this is at a specific time. At time 1.5, because what's your reason? Yeah, V of 1.5 and A of 1.5 are the same sign. Perfect. So let's see what the points were for that one. So let's see, part B. Was 1 point for getting this acceleration with the setup. So you had to link V prime with A and get -1. And it was a point for that answer. They're being kind of stingy with points. I feel like you did a lot more than just 2 points worth of work. Go ahead. Careful with that because they could both be positive, but that's fine. If you said they are both negative, that's fine. All right, let's see. Position at time 1 is this. So we're going to start with -3 plus what would come next? Good. And why is it 1 to 4? Whoever said that over here, because that is correct. Yep, it's at time 1, and we want to go to time 4. They're going to give you all the numbers. You just have to get them in the right place. All right. And then inside of there is your velocity. Remember the monkey and the gopher. Okay. Let me go ahead and type this in, and then we'll look at how many it was worth. So this is going to be -3 plus int 1 to 4. Now I can go ahead and copy over my velocity, then put dx at the end. A -2.802. And sorry, what was your question over there? That's what I did. I just copy and pasted it. Oh, I still needed to share my screen. Let's see how much that was worth. All right, let's see. 1 point for an integral. So even if you didn't put -3 plus, if you wrote integral 1 to 4 of velocity, you got a point. If you wrote -3 plus out front, you got a point. And then the answer of -2.802 was worth the point. So that was 3. You guys get, did anybody get that? I'm curious. Anyone get part of it? I'm just checking. Okay, I stopped you before. Okay, fair. I stopped you because I want us to go down to the cafeterias. That's not you guys, that's me. Okay. Did you guys even get to read part D? Oh, this one's a gimme one though. Total distance from 1 to 4. Perfect. 1 to 4, absolute value, velocity, dt. Do I need to show you how to type that in, or could you got that? All right, so it would be 0.958. I just have my answer key here. Let's see how much that was worth. 2 points, a point for the setup and a point. So would you gotten those two? I know I stopped you, but yeah, I feel like that would have been worth 2 and that you would have got it.